I wish someone told me sooner to start getting my stuff together because it is a long process.
Hello, my name is Julia Steyer, and welcome to episode 3 of Players, Performers, and Portrayers, the podcast. Today we are joined by Charlie Powell, who is an actress and dancer who hails from Sydney, Australia. We will be talking about the differences between the Australian and American markets and what advice she has for international students looking to work in the entertainment industry. Let's get started. Today I am joined by Charlie Powell. I'm super excited to talk to her because we were actually introduced through our mutual friend Oliver Boone, who runs the awesome website theatermeetscritic.com, and I will be sure to put a link to that in the description. So Charlie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
First question for you is a little broad, but it's who are you and how did you get to where you are today?
I am Charlie Powell. I am 22 years old and I am from Sydney, Australia. I am currently living in Los Angeles. This is my third year now. I graduated last year at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and the past year I've just been grinding away in this industry. So it's just basically starting out, trying to get credit. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Some celebrities like Margot Robbie and Chris Hemsworth, who are from Australia, also got their starts in the Australian market before breaking into Hollywood. What made you want to come straight to Los Angeles instead of working in Australia first?
It's pretty funny because I kind of did the whole thing in reverse, and I just kind of realized that the other day. I was like, I kind of did this all backwards. But yeah, so I came to America a bunch of times throughout high school for vacation with my family, and then I was coming for dance as I was doing that before acting. And so I just kept coming here, and I was like, I love it over here. I love to train here. So in my last year of high school, I auditioned for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I got accepted. And as soon as I got that letter, I was just like, my heart was set on it. I was like, yes, I have to be in LA. And my parents were really supportive, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And yeah, I just basically moved straight away. I was so nervous because I was worried that I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know if the course was going to be good. It was a lot, and I was only 19. I'm so happy that I just did it.
What was that process like for you in picking a program in the States? Because that must have been hard. You know, it's hard enough doing the college search when you're here. I can't even imagine trying to do it from abroad. So how did you kind of settle on the American Academy?
I went to another audition and I met a girl there, and she was like, oh, I'm actually auditioning for the American Academy. I was like, oh, I haven't really heard of that. Anyway, and then I just looked into it and I was like, okay, it looks pretty good. And I actually auditioned and didn't think much about it, and I got accepted. And then I started researching more, and I just knew it's hard though because I'm from Australia, so far away from here, and I didn't know anyone that's gone to the school before. It was kind of like a risk, but I'm all about risk taking and I wouldn't regret it, so I'm so happy I just did it.
What was it like when you first moved here? How did you make LA feel like home?
I think what made it home to me was the friends that I met throughout. I'm a very social person, so interaction.
You're like, that helps, yeah.
This quarantine's got me home.
Oh no, oh I can only imagine, I feel you.
But yeah, they really made me feel like home. Now with technology these days, FaceTiming, it feels like, you're right there.
Yeah. So
it wasn't too hard. Plus I was so busy and it was a whole new life that I didn't even really get homesick. So it was on the go. School was really busy and I was just exploring LA on the weekends. So I just kind of forgot.
I feel that you're like, I'm too busy to be homesick. I've got too much to do, too much to explore.
Yes, literally. This is literally my first time being homesick just during this quarantine. Just because, I'm not busy and I love to be busy and productive. So this is literally the first time it's hit me. I'm like, oh, I kind of miss home.
Oh, I feel that. Well, sounds like you just fully jumped into acting, but you also had quite a bit of success as a dancer, and you were even extended an offer to join super famous Joffrey Ballet School in New York at the age of 16. What made you want to switch to acting? Yes,
I danced all my life. It was definitely my passion. I wanted to be a professional dancer. I went to a performing arts school, so we had to do the music, acting, and dance. So I was taking classes, but I was so focused on dance that I didn't even think about the other two, and then in my last couple of years of high school, I started taking short courses at NIDA in Australia, the National Institute of Dramatic Arts, and Screenwise Australia. And my classes with them, I fell in love. And I was like, why haven't I been doing this for longer? I was like, what have I been doing? So I think I got a little bit burnt out with the dancing just because I was doing to 20, 30 hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I still love it. I just couldn't see myself doing it in the future, you know, for the rest of my life. So I began to audition for acting courses, and then, yeah, I'm in LA now, so
there's no looking back. I love it, yeah. What are some of the biggest difference that you have experienced between the acting world and the dance world, and what was that transition kind of like for you?
So, yeah, they're definitely very similar. You have to work super hard at both crafts to get where you get. The biggest difference is you can do acting for your entire life, you know. You could be 12 years old, you could be 80 years old and still killing it. I feel with dance, like performing, you only have till maximum 30 years of age, you know, until like you get an injury, and then they just want the up and coming dancers. And teaching wasn't really a passion of mine, so that's why I think I started to look at the acting more and was like, oh, this is more long term. And yeah, so I definitely will always keep dancing, and I've definitely got a lot of gigs out here that have acting and dance. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'm doing both. My parents are super happy because they were pretty sad that I just like, oh, I'm doing acting now. They're like, what are you doing?
They're like, what? So, no, you were doing the other thing. Yeah. You've mentioned that you've gotten in your bio is saying that you've done a couple of commercials because of dance. Has that come up a lot, that people are like, oh, you're a dancer, like that's what we need? Or
yeah. I actually just booked, when did I film it? I filmed it Friday, Saturday. It was for like this new gym coming up. It was like a dance kind of workout.
Oh, amazing.
And, yeah, they booked me off my dancing, and it was great. Like, it was so good to be back shooting. Definitely with the masks, the coronavirus, there's so many rules now. It's very different to what it was before. But yeah, I just booked something with my dance ability, and I was like, this is awesome. So it's good to get the best of both worlds still.
That's amazing. And I really love that you mentioned that you were shooting this weekend, because you actually are the first person I've talked to that's been doing post-quarantine shooting. And I'm just so curious to hear more about that experience of, was it strange? Do you feel like it made the day go longer, or was it actually maybe more efficient because everyone just wanted to get in, get out?
I think it was more efficient in a way. All the crew got tested beforehand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's good. And then we have to all come in masks. We got the temperature check, and then we have to sign some COVID forms, just like to say that we know that coronavirus is here.
Oh,
and
my
that we're
gosh.
okay with working in the circumstances. So, yeah, all the crew wears masks, makeup and hair, gloves, mask, all that. And then they spend time cleaning in between people. And then the call times were very spread out. It was like 45 minutes between each person. So,
oh, wow. Okay,
yeah,
amazing.
It's different, but definitely more efficient because everyone's like, let's just get this done and like get out of here. So.
Oh, that's actually really nice to hear too. It sounds like they are really taking it seriously, which is, so nice to hear, and putting the safety of people up there. But yeah, I mean, I've talked to so many people who are like, is it coming back? Is it not? Because it feels like in LA we've gotten almost different news every other week. I've talked to some people who are like, yeah, no, production's going to be open, it's going to be great. And I've talked to other people who are like, I don't see, like writer's room coming back for the rest of the year or something. So it's been a lot for everybody to wrap their minds around, it sounds like.
Definitely. I definitely think that we got content for the entire year, though. So they're pretty smart about it. We did 2 days of shooting, and now they have content for the rest of the year.
Oh, that's really good.
If it does spike again, they're good on content.
Has the idea ever crossed your mind to maybe go back to Australia during this time, or where do you kind of stand on that?
Yeah, so what's next for me is I actually booked my flight back to Australia in August.
Okay.
I miss my family, plus my visa is actually running out. So I had a plan post-coronavirus, but that's kind of changed the plan a little bit. But I'm probably going to spend the rest of the year in Australia just because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I think Australia right now is more open than here anyway. So I think that will be good. I want to get a new agent in Sydney to open up more work for myself, while I'll still audition for feature films in Los Angeles with my current manager, Revenant Entertainment. So I'll still be based in Los Angeles, but I'll be in Sydney for the meantime.
What are some of the big differences between the American markets and the Australian markets in terms of the entertainment industry?
So the difference is basically Australia is a lot smaller than America, obviously, as our population is smaller. We just don't have the resources that America has. So I just thought it would be better to come to LA first anyway. The thing is, there's like 40 feature films filmed in a year in Australia, where there's like 40 feature films like a month in America. So you get different, you know. So, and I feel like it's so hard to get representation here, where in Australia, I think it's just a little bit easier. There's still competition, obviously, but yeah, I think it'll be good for me when I go back, as I have training in LA. So I think it'll be good, and then I'll get more Australian credits and then come back. So I think I'm happy with the choice that I'm taking to go back to Australia for a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds like really making the best of a tough situation, because this is just COVID on top of visas, on top of industry shutting down. And that actually brings me to my next question, and I realize that this question may be a bit more of a pre-COVID times question, because I wanted to actually talk to you about what it's like being an international student, having to go through this process of securing a visa, and kind of what challenges came up and what that looked like for you.
Yeah, the visa situation is a very difficult one. Most of my international friends decided just to go back home just because it's so difficult and financially expensive as well. So basically, I wish someone told me sooner to start getting my stuff together, because it is a long process. I basically have to show every job I've done, the evidence, emails, photos, like video that has to have like the URL in it. There's just so much to it. And I just found out that I have to have future employment now. And I'm like, how am I going to get that? There's no one employed. Like,
yeah.
I get over one hurdle and then another obstacle comes up and then I get over that. So it's a very roller coaster experience. Yeah. That's all I can say.
And Oliver mentioned that something about you have to kind of garner a lot of press on yourself. So have you been sort of working as your own publicist?
Yes, publicist was definitely my ideal, but I didn't actually end up going with them just because of financial reasons.
Right.
So I just decided to do it myself. So I got some press back in Australia with my newspapers. I've got some press here. So I'm pretty good on press. I'm pretty proud of myself, like what I've gotten. Was
that just like cold emailing these different outlets and stuff?
Yeah, just emailing and just people that I've known before that have either blogs and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty good on press, but yeah, you have to have a lot. Basically, the visa, they want you to either win an Emmy or an Oscar.
Oh my gosh.
8 of the below. So I'm doing the 8 of the below, but it's just a tough experience. But I'm very motivated and I believe in myself. So I hope one day I'll be back with my visa.
That's fantastic. What advice do you have for fellow international students who are trying to transition into working in the entertainment industry out of college?
Start working on the visa as soon as I can.
Yeah.
That's literally the number one. I just didn't realize I have so many jobs that I've done and have no evidence. I don't know where the forms went. Like, I didn't take any photos. If I knew earlier, I would have taken photos. And my emails actually deleted last year. So jobs that I've had between people, I've had to just, rely on more people to send me stuff that I lost. So, which I don't really like, relying on a lot of people because, people are busy and stuff. But yeah, it just start as soon as you can.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I wanted to jump back to something you had mentioned earlier. We were talking a little bit about how it is a little harder to get representation in Los Angeles just because there's so many people. So I was wondering what the process was like for you in securing your manager.
It was a lot of emailing and a lot of no's, but I kept going. So I did get a lot of interest, which I was super happy about. But the thing that came down was, do you have a green card? Or do you have a visa? And I'm on a visa right now, but it's not good enough for what they want. So it was pretty tough. I was just getting no. I then went on IMDb and was like, okay, let's just try again. So then I sent off an email to Revenant Entertainment. My manager's Steven Salisbury. And he got back to me. He was like, how old are you? How did you find me? And are you SAG or non-union? And basically I typed back to him. He was like, okay, I'd love to meet. We met up. He was super sweet. He usually doesn't take people that are non-union. And that like send unsolicited material. I apologized, but he was like, I'm going to take a chance on you. And I was like, thank you. That's literally all I wanted. You know, just take a chance. Like, I'll prove you wrong. I'll work as hard as I can. So, yeah, and we're here today, and he's still my manager. He's still going to represent me when I'm in Australia.
Amazing.
So I'm really happy to be with him.
Fantastic. And then my final question, is there anything I should have asked or anything you would like people to know about you?
I just want to be looked up to as like a role model in the industry, sharing my powerful female voice, and basically just to continue to fight for women's rights and gender equality, just because I'm super passionate about it, and I hope one day it's what I want it to be. So yeah, that's about it.
Heck yeah. Has that ever influenced what kind of roles you take?
I really want to work for Reese Witherspoon's
yes.
production, just because they're all women. They just are so inspiring to me. I love Reese Witherspoon. She's like the kindest
She's a queen.
person ever.
Yeah.
And so talented. So yeah, that's definitely an inspiration of mine.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me on our funky phone podcasting during these strange times.
Thank you so much for having me. It was super fun talking to you.
You as well. And for everyone listening today, thank you so much for joining us for Players, Performers, and Portrayers, the podcast. Until next time.